Good morning, everyone. What time is it? I don't know. I can't see. It's almost 6, I think, 6 a.m. And up and early again. Got up at 5, no alarm. I don't know why I do this. I've already been to the gym for a half hour, did all my reading of the financial news. And the hardest part of making these videos is taking that picture in the beginning. And this one this morning, I was trying to be excited because for the first time, I think since really doing these videos, it feels like today's a all around pretty good day. I think, there's been a lot of movement on some very substantial issues. Nothing is resolved, so this all can blow up by the time you see this video. Um, I don't want to say blow up. All these things could go a different direction than it is right now at 6 before the market opens. But, I don't know. I did all the reading, then I read my notes, I created my talk track, and today just feels like a good day. So I thought I would go through that. Just like any good day, there are some things going on that I'll still talk about that are let's just call it unfortunate or true or whatever that is. So let's just get into it. First and foremost, the biggest mover of the day is likely to be the trade war between the U.S. and China. It looks like there is some significant progress from both sides to get a limited deal done. Most importantly is I believe both sides, right, China and the U.S., are indicating in their local media or whatever you want to call it that a limited trade deal is I don't want to say imminent, but likely. And again, I read a couple of articles that were summaries of I don't know what you want to call it, publications in China. I'm not really sure how to say that. So again, the China government is even indicating that what a small trade deal, a limited trade deal, whatever you want to call it, is is moving in the right direction, if not likely. So I think now having both sides say that, it's far less likely that somebody pulls something and something gets out. So while that's the headline and that will move the market, and I would expect the market to be up hundreds of points today, I would caution you to wait and see what's in it, right? Could this be an agreement just about food, which is really, really hurting China? Could this just be about electronics, which probably will eventually roll to the US consumer? Right, there are really, really big issues that we need to work on, intellectual capital, software, lots of things. And I still think there's the backbone in the U.S. to really take on some of the ways that China um, interacts with its citizens, if you will. Again, I don't know any firsthand experience. Just read what is out there, and some of that's not okay. Frankly, lots of that is not okay. But again, without getting into details on that, lots of big things to talk about. But I think getting a small deal done is positive. You know, getting the first deal done probably leads to a second deal, and maybe there isn't some massive thing, which was probably over optimistic in the beginning. Certainly in any kind of time frame. I think getting little steps done, is pretty important. I think there's that old saying that goes, "How do you eat an elephant?" And the answer is one bite at a time. And maybe we just do lots of little trade deals and we kind of get to a place where both sides are happy. I think that would be pretty cool. So, number one, trade war as of this morning, before the market opens. The key being both sides are pretty happy. Next up, I thought what I read about the General Motors and UAW strike was positive, and what I meant there was the CEO of GM was in the room. Now, they could have been before, but this was the first time it was reported to me, or that I read, not reported to me, but first article I read actually happened late yesterday, that the CEO of GM had joined the negotiations. And I think that's important. I think, and I believe that the UAW sometimes, if you're getting to that point, I think the CEO getting in the room is a great move. It's been 24 days, I think. General Motors is losing $90 billion a day. 50,000 folks are on strike, collecting $250 a week strike pay. More and more, I don't know, partners, integrators, supply chain are being shut down. This is this is going on longer than anybody wanted. So I think getting the CEO in the room could be the thing that, you know, gets an agreement in place. So again, I think pretty positive news. Again, it could backfire, right? They could, for all I know, the UAW hates the CEO and wants him out. I don't know, but again, I think overall it was a positive, and I think we'll hear something today, right? I would think maybe after hours, we'll probably see a summary or something. I would hope. That'd be pretty cool. Next up, again, positive news. Seems like there is finally a last ditch effort or movement or whatever you want to call it around Brexit. It seems like what I read is there's kind of a will, there's a way. One of the touchy points is the border of UK and North Ireland. Again, I'm not a geography wizard, so that's just what I read. But it's talking about there was a treaty put in place years ago where, to sort of set ongoing battle between the two. It was called the Good Friday Treaty. Basically, they don't want to put up, I'll call it a wall. They didn't call it a wall, but basically a wall between them and force inspections again. That was very, that was not appreciated at the time, and it led to lots of bloodshed. So that's a pretty big deal. Nobody wants that, near as I can tell, but it is at least apparently a sticking point for the process. I guess last up on kind of the just the cascading set of good news. It looks like the central bank, or at least Wall Street, is expecting the central bank to be ready to interject up to $350 billion in the market, or $15 billion a month. I wasn't really sure where to put this, but it certainly seems to be needed, right? There was a lot of things getting stuck in the short-term market, like overnight market. The article says the Fed is really, really working on not calling this QE, or quantitative easing. I don't know why they're getting hung up on that. I guess it's because when you think QE, you think Great Recession, and they're like, no, 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 that's not this. This is different. I'm not sure. I'm sure I buy that, because the essence, they're going to be buying assets with this purchase. Now, granted, it's short-term treasuries today, but I've lived through this before, and where it's short-term treasuries today, maybe it's corporate bonds tomorrow, and that that seems like they're trying to spin a song that's not really there. But in the end, I think getting that liquidity in place, they want to keep the short-term rates at their target, which I think is 1.1 3/4 to 2 today. All right, they saw a spike up to above that the last month or so. So they're trying to clean up the short term. They basically underestimated how much money they wanted in the overnight market. So again, I think pretty really good news. Trade war. Hopefully we hear something. I think UAW GM. I'm going to put it out there. Makes an announcement today. Not that it's over. Don't get me that way. But maybe that they've broken the log jam and they're finally talking about real issues or whatever. Brexit seems to be going the right way. Again, only reading what I read there. Don't have any history or experience out there. And then the central bank looks to be adding some more liquidity to the system. So that's all the good news. I think there's, as always, there's things that I catch that are negative or frankly annoy me. First off, big negative. It appears that an Iran oil tanker was struck by a couple of missiles as it was making its way to move its crude. First off, that's never okay. Doesn't appear, at least at first reports, any lives were lost, which is awesome. But I have to assume the missiles did some damage, and oil leaked into the water, which is horrible for the ecosystem. That's I remember when that happened in Alaska, how horrible those pictures looked, and the animals and wildlife that were hurt for decades. So not okay, frankly. Now the question is this Saudi Arabia responding because they believe Iran attacked them, right? Is this a sign of more to come? I think oil is going to jump. The question is, how much oil is lost? Is the whole strait that they were sailing down or traveling down shut down? Lots of stuff going on. Oil could be on the rise if tensions rise, because if Iran believes Saudi Arabia attacked them after they attacked Saudi Arabia, I mean, this tit for tat thing could get pretty ugly, and who knows? I believe the first attack was a drone strike, so this could go on. In addition to that, I read more and more about these NBA players who, again, I have, as a season ticket holder, as someone who watches nearly every game, I'm a huge fan of the NBA. I just don't like, I don't like it when the truth's not told. And today looks like another day of NBA players backing away from a hot topic, and they're saying it's because of their brand. Yeah, maybe as a secondary thing, but it's be honest, it's the money. And if you want to tell me you don't want to talk about it because of the money, right? The endorsements and all of that, I get it, totally okay. But don't try to soft shoe it and say it's something else. There's real stuff going on out there, and if it's because you're not educated and you don't feel informed, well, you have a lot of people. Go get informed. You could be informed in 3 hours. So don't lie or make something up because you think you got us fooled. That's not okay. Another thing I read is it looks like WeWork. I can't believe, right? We nailed this one, right? We've been talking about WeWork for pretty much since the beginning of this channel, or the beginning of this series. And it looks like they're in talk with their bankers because they're cash strapped. That's Didn't we talk about? I mean, go back and watch the videos. We were saying that WeWork, or I was suspecting that WeWork needed to go public because they had no money. Now they're going back to their bankers and looking for an aggressive loan to keep the business operating. And I got to go back to Sam Zell. I don't remember the exact years, but I think he said something like, "This has been tried since 1967 and it's never worked. Why do they think they got it figured out?" So Sam, you got another one. Um, Another one to talk about is I read something about the Fed. Powell is really interested in what in the internet from a perspective of a lot of the apps that we look at are free, right? Email, YouTube, Facebook, Google, all of these are free. And the reason he's looking at this is because there's economic goodness there that they can't calculate. It was funny. I forget what it was. I should have written it down. MIT, I think it was, university did a research and asked, how much would you take not to use some of the most popular web applications? So here we go. I got numbers for Facebook, YouTube, and Google, and I thought these numbers were interesting. So how much would you take not to use Facebook for a month? You got a guess? According to this gentleman, it was $48. I rounded to 50. $50 a month, and you wouldn't use Facebook for a month. That's the lowest of the three, which $50 a month equals $600 a year. So next up was YouTube. How much would you take not to use YouTube for a year? Got a guess? Answer was 1,300. So what is that? Like $115 a month? So almost it's double what you would take for Facebook. And the big winner, or at least from a dollar amount, how much do you think it would take for you not to use Google for a year? Got a guess? According to this, again, MIT, I believe it was MIT. It could have been Carnegie Mellon for all I remember. But the answer is $17,000. I don't know. I guess I have to dig into the research because give me 17 grand, I'll just go to Yahoo and do it there. But maybe it was all search engines. But again, this article said Google. So again, Facebook $50, YouTube 1,300, and Google 17 grand. So at the end of the day, again, since doing this today feels like one of the best days for the market, making progress again, seemingly on the trade war, with both sides saying a deal is likely. UAW and GM, the CEO gets in the room. Got to be good news, I hope. Brexit looks like they are really making some progress in talking about real issues, specifically keeping the Good Friday Treaty in place. And then lastly, the central bank getting ready, or Wall Street's expecting the central bank to get ready to interject some liquidity. So in the end, that's what I got this morning. I think I'm going to actually go out and try to do a run before the event starts, and never know, maybe I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.